What is going on, everybody? My name is Monster Workshop, and welcome to my channel. This is going to be another Destiny 2 exotic review, and in this video I'm reviewing Ager's Scepter. If you want to see more Destiny 2 content just like this video, then like the video and please consider subscribing. That would really help me out and help this channel grow. And if you like this video, please check out the other videos I've made. This channel uploads Destiny 2 weapon reviews just like this video. I'm trying to get as many viewers as I can to grow this channel. And once again, thank you for clicking on this video, and with that, I'll see you guys at the end of it. With the introduction to Stasis weapons, it seems like it was only a matter of time before we agreed with the Stasis trace rifle. No matter how many times people say Cold Heart should be transformed into a Stasis trace rifle, Ager's Scepter, an exotic Stasis trace rifle, made its way into Destiny 2 Beyond of Light, and has quickly become one of the best trace rifles in Destiny 2 at both DPS and its overall perks. Now, to say Ager's Scepter is a good weapon is an understatement. Stasis weapons is very powerful, and now we have a Stasis trace rifle is a huge deal. Ager's Scepter's exotic perk, called Ager's Call, it produces a freezing blast after killing an enemy that freezes other targets. Now the catalyst for Ager's Scepter allows you to create a freezing beam that increases damage by 80% at the cost of your super energy. And on top of that, you slow and freeze targets as you're shooting. Now in order to activate this ability, you have to hold the reload button, but you can also hold reload again to cancel out this ability. Now you also need to have full super to activate this effect. Now without any sort of stasis build, this weapon is still one of the most powerful weapons in the game. So now what can we do to bolster this weapon even further? For starters, pick a stasis subclass. Now the nice thing about stasis is it's quite valuable at the end game, especially on warlocks. For example, the aspect Bleak Watcher can up the time you have on Bleak Watcher, and Glacial Harvest will generate crystals every time you freeze a target. And considering how often you'll be freezing targets, this is an outstanding aspect to have on. Now for fragments, you want to pick the fragments that will enhance Ager's Scepter's freezing abilities. Now considering Ager's Scepter feeds off of super abilities as much as possible, you want to pick the fragments that will regain super energy as much as possible. For example, Whisper of Bonds will do just that. Whisper of Bonds will give you super energy whenever you defeat a frozen target. Now what's the practicality for this build? I mean, sure, we can go into any activity and just face roll with this weapon, and everyone can argue that this is the most broken thing in the game, but this is not how people usually play this build. Now there are some good things and there's some bad things about this weapon. Now this weapon has one job and one job only. That is to destroy mid and low tier enemies. Spamming this thing will absolutely destroy non-shielded enemies. Now just because this weapon can obliterate low tier enemies, it doesn't mean this weapon is good in every situation, because you need a lot of enemies to cluster together to get the most value. When I took this weapon on Nightfall, this was very aggressive, and I shredded, absolutely just shredded, every enemy I could see in sight. Now, when not being a total tryhard and actually playing the game without using this weapon frequently, your job is still going to be locking onto low tier targets and destroying them. When you want to use this weapon on really tough targets, you're going to have a little bit of trouble. Now, just to be fair, this weapon does quite a bit of damage to any target, but you shouldn't waste ammunition on a tough target when you can use something like a linear fusion rifle or a rocket launcher. I tried using this on a whole bunch of different enemies, and I can tell you from experience, if you try to use this on tough targets, you're going to end up using half of your magazine on one target, which will force you to use your primary weapon to get more special ammo, which could be a huge problem. Conserving ammo is the best thing you can do for this weapon. Now overall, this build feels like it has a lot going on, because you are constantly shooting and freezing targets. You're dropping Bleak Watcher in high traffic areas. You spam your melee because of the stasis shards that are pouring everywhere. You'll get bonus damage for elemental shards that are available. There's so much potential and power with this build, although it can be stressful to use all of those things to maximize those buffs. But don't stress too much about it, because you're still going to be doing really powerful things. Now let's talk about some of the bad things about this weapon. What I dislike about this weapon is how fast you burn through ammo. Now I've already said this before, but this weapon forces you to use your primary weapon because it burns through ammo so quickly. There used to be a perk called Special Ammo Finder, which Bungie removed along with a lot of other perks. So now you just have to hope and pray to find special ammo by killing enemies. And there's really no other way to find special ammo more frequently. Now getting your teammates to spawn special ammo for you is going to be ideal with this build. Now the next thing I can say about this is aggression. It does seem like you have to be very aggressive with this build. The whole point is to be freezing and killing as many enemies as possible. Now, if you want to play something like Master Mode and you want to use this build, you're going to have a tough time because you're 20 levels underpowered. and you won't be able to kill enemies as quickly as usual, which can be a huge problem. But using this weapon in regular strikes will be a piece of cake. But enemies with shields can still be frozen, so just keep that in mind. Now, tougher targets will not really be worth using this weapon on them, unless you're getting most headshots and you're dealing maximum damage. But then again, it all depends upon the target and the difficulty. You want to use this weapon in the situation it best fits in, and that is finding the weakest targets possible and spraying them. Now I'm just going to give my personal opinion about this weapon. I think this is a must-have for any build, and this weapon is perfect for someone that does ad clear in raids. I've been using this weapon for a while now, and I think this is totally worth that exotic slot. And just in case if you're new to Destiny 2, you can only have one exotic weapon equipped in your inventory. This weapon is like a mini primary / secondary weapon. For ad clearing, I would really use this over most of the weapons in the game. Although if you want a weapon that focuses on just DPS, go with a weapon like Galahorn. A lot of people would choose Divinity over this. I personally think they're both very similar. You can't really tell the difference, so having Divinity doesn't really matter. I personally like this better than Divinity because of that freezing aspect. Being able to freeze targets at once is really helpful. And you can pick up this weapon in the Exotic Archive if you don't know how to unlock this. Just go to the Exotic Archive at the tower and pick up this weapon. It's totally worth the price. My final verdict for this weapon is a 9 out of 10. The only reason why I don't give it a 10 out of 10 is because it burns through ammo so quickly and it feels really aggressive. If it weren't for its over aggressiveness and the fact that it burns through ammo so quickly, I would have gave this weapon a 10 out of 10 easily. But even with these shortcomings, this weapon is still outstanding, and I really think you should pick this up. And that's pretty much it. I hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and with that, I'll see you guys later.